And then Marina Mabrey comes out of nowhere and chucks her to the floor.
I'll ask about the game too.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys came for basketball.
Yeah,
Let's talk about basketball. Yeah. Come on now.
What do you think just how you all were able to pull in the second half, Caitlin, in particular?
We're going to the Commissioner Cup Championship.
Let's go!
Pretty exciting.
This is what they called. Caitlin Clark, Marina Mabrey, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina Charles. Technical fouls. That's it. Technical fouls. That's it.
It all began with a quiet limp. Subtle at first, easy to dismiss. Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's most electrifying rookie in decades, was used to playing through pain. She'd done it in high school, in college, and now under the brightest spotlight of her life. But this time was different, because what started as a minor tweak was about to become a national controversy. Fans had been glued to their screens for weeks, watching Clark dazzle and dominate. Her court vision, limitless range, and clutch gene made her an instant favorite, not just for WNBA loyalists, but for millions of casual viewers tuning in just to witness history. But then, in a hard-fought game against the Connecticut Sun, something happened. A drive to the basket, a tangle of limbs, a fall that didn't look like much at first. Clark winced. She stayed down for an extra beat, and when she stood up, she was different. The next day, rumors swirled. The Indiana Fever called it day-to-day. Reporters called it lower body soreness. But inside circles knew something wasn't right. Clark wasn't practicing. She wasn't moving the same. Her minutes were down. And her explosiveness, the very thing that made her a walking highlight reel, was clearly diminished. That's when the doctor stepped forward.
JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin Clark. She swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin Clark nudges her off because JC stays in her face. And then Tina Charles runs over and is kind of wagging her finger in Caitlin Clark's face.
What do you think, again, in the second half allowed you all to create some distance there, and what can you build on going into that cup final?
I thought we were physical on defense. I think that's where we lacked in the first half. I think the first half we had moments where we're up 10, we're up 8, we're up 12.
Now let's watch this in slow motion. Here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball.
Not just any doctor. Dr. Halverson, an orthopedic specialist who had consulted for both NBA and WNBA teams, broke his silence in a now viral interview. With permission from an anonymous league medical source, he dropped what fans had long feared, but the league had refused to confirm. Clark, he said, had suffered a significant groin strain, not just tightness, not a cramp. A legitimate, potentially season-altering strain that required rest, therapy, and time, not national pressure to rush back on the court. But what made this revelation even more shocking wasn't just the injury. It was the cover-up. According to Dr. Halverson, the pressure to keep Clark on the floor was unlike anything I've seen in modern women's sports. He claimed team doctors were under immense pressure from executives, sponsors, and league stakeholders to clear Clark, even if she wasn't ready. There are millions on the line, he said. Ticket sales, jersey sales, TV ratings. They're not just managing an athlete, they're managing a brand. And when that brand is injured, it's bad for business. Fans were stunned. The WNBA had long claimed to put athlete health first. But here was one of the game's most valuable players, clearly compromised and yet being trotted out night after night, only for the league to insist everything was fine. The backlash was immediate. Clark's supporters demanded transparency. Analysts began replaying game footage in slow motion, pointing out how her mobility had changed. "Look at that plant foot," one sports podcast host said. "That's not the Caitlin we saw in college. That's someone protecting an injury." But there was another layer to the controversy. Because not everyone believed the injury was being ignored, some thought it was being weaponized. According to Dr. Halverson, several league insiders believed Clark was being targeted, not necessarily in a coordinated effort, but in the kind of unspoken code that exists in sports. The rookie getting too much attention. Make her feel the league, let her earn it. The welcome to the pros moments had been happening all season, hard fouls, elbows, bruising screens, but now with her vulnerable, Those moments were getting more dangerous. Clark herself had hinted at this. In a recent interview, she said, "It's a physical league. I knew that coming in. But yeah, it's been tough adjusting. You get knocked down a lot." Dr. Halverson went further. He described what he called the perfect storm of injury risk, a combination of fatigue from an exhausting college season, lack of full off-season recovery, a condensed WNBA schedule, and now repeated physical contact that was exacerbating the strain. "She should have sat out 2 weeks," he said bluntly. "Minimum." Instead, she was playing 35 minutes a night. The WNBA responded with a terse statement. "Player health and safety is our top priority. Caitlin Clark and all players received the best care possible." But they offered no specifics, no timelines, no confirmation of the strain. That only fueled more speculation. Was Clark being forced to play hurt? Was she being protected at all? Or was she being used, paraded for ticket sales while her long-term health was being risked? Then came the final blow. Clark was ruled out of an all-star weekend event she was supposed to headline. Not a full withdrawal, but a cancellation of her three-point contest appearance. Fans were told it was precautionary, but Dr. Halverson had a different take. "That was a red flag," he said. "That told me the strain wasn't improving. It was worsening." Even more damning was what he said next. "This isn't just about Caitlin. This is about how the league treats injuries when money is involved. We've seen this story before, pushing athletes too soon, then wondering why they break down. The difference now is that everyone's watching." He wasn't wrong. Clark's games had become must-see TV. Her rivalries with established stars, her buzzer beaters, her off-court persona. She was the story, and that made her injury the story too. Not because it was career-ending, but because it revealed the deeper tension in women's basketball right now. On one side, the players, battling for respect, pushing through pain, demanding equal treatment. On the other, a league desperate for mainstream success finally handed a star who could open doors and terrified to lose her for even a week. It's easy to forget that Clark isn't a machine. She's 22, just months removed from college life. Now she's carrying the hopes of a league, a team, and a generation. And in the middle of all that, she's been asked to sacrifice her body, even as the cameras roll. Dr. Halverson didn't stop with medical diagnosis, he went after the media too. There's this narrative that Caitlin Clark is soft, that she complains, that she can't handle the league's physicality. But what I see is an athlete doing everything she can to stay on the floor. She's clearly hurt, but she's not using it as an excuse. That should be admired. But admiration wasn't what Clark was getting. Instead, every tough foul turned into a debate. Is she being picked on? Or is she just not ready? Is this good defense or targeted aggression? Fans and analysts were split. But to Dr. Halverson, the answer was obvious. It's all of the above. She's not being protected and she's not being given room to recover. The silence from the Fever's front office grew louder with each passing day. No interviews, no medical updates, just vague quotes about monitoring her condition. The fans saw through it, and so did Clark's teammates, who began subtly backing her. In press conferences, they hinted at the pressure she was under. "She's doing her best," one teammate said, "but people forget she's still human." That sentiment began to spread. Across the league, players started speaking out. Not just about Clark, but about the broader issue. Skylar Diggins-Smith tweeted, "We've all been there, playing through pain because the league needs us. When will that stop?" Another star added, "Protect your stars." Period. The backlash reached its peak when ESPN aired a segment with medical experts breaking down Clark's movements, frame by frame, showing the limitations caused by a groin strain. It was no longer speculation, it was clinical. And then, finally, Adam Silver was asked directly. In a rare crossover press appearance, the NBA commissioner was asked about Clark's injury and the league's response. His answer was diplomatic, but telling. "I believe player health is the foundation of any great league. Caitlin is an incredible talent, and I trust the WNBA is doing what's best for her long term. But trust was already broken. The damage had been done. The public now knew what had been whispered for weeks, that Clark wasn't just hurt. She was caught in a whirlwind of expectation, commerce, and silence. Dr. Halverson's warning became prophetic, because days after his interview, Clark missed another game. This time, without explanation, the word rest was used again, but fans weren't buying it. The footage spoke louder than PR statements. She wasn't resting. She was limping. She was protecting her stride. She was avoiding cuts. She was hurting. And the world had watched it unfold in real time. What happens next is unclear. Clark may recover fully. She may come back stronger. But the league's response, its lack of honesty, its commodification of pain, will be harder to rehab. Because it wasn't just an injury, it was a test. A test of how the WNBA handles its most valuable asset. A test of whether it sees its stars as humans or headlines. And for now, that test remains incomplete. Subscribe to the channel, Catch a Dime. We'll catch you in the next one.